A U.S. Federal Government Job Guide. Chapter 1. Get a federal government job. Federal Job 1. Go to usajob.com and opm.gov. Search for the jobs that interest you and are applicable to your talents and abilities. The federal government network is tedious and complicated. Federal jobs are separated into two classes. 1. Competitive service jobs, which include the majority of federal positions, are subject to civil service laws passed by Congress. Job applications are rated on a numerical system in which applicants are awarded points based on education, experience, and other job qualification standards. Hiring managers then fill the position from a pool of candidates with the highest point totals. 2. Hiring managers for accepted service agencies are not required to follow civil service hiring procedures. These agencies set their own qualifications requirements. Both competitive service and accepted service positions must give preference to veterans who were either disabled or who served in combat areas. Some agencies that are not strictly accepted service agencies can have accepted service positions available within them. If you are interested in employment with an accepted service agency, visit the recruitment section of its website for postings. Some accepted service agencies also post their job openings to opm.gov. usajob.com. Quite often, there are jobs outside of your major in college. It's not unusual for biology major, for example, to find a job with Homeland Security or the Department of Defense. There is no general way to submit an application to OPM or the individual federal agencies. Refer to each job posting for specific directions. All federal job postings include a section titled How to Apply. Read the fine print of all printed and online applications. The OPM created an optional application for federal employment Form of 612, which applicants can fill out and send in either instead of submitting a resume or along with the resume. Many civil service and other government jobs start at a low rate of pay unless you have a special skill like you're a scientist working at a government lab. You have to work your way up like anywhere. If you got political connections, you can get a good job with the government. If not, volunteer for a campaign, then when your candidate gets elected, send him your resume or post it up at the place on his website for resumes. Try whitehouse.gov. Write down some big-shot senators or political contributors as your references. In general, there's the main department, the Office of Personnel Management/OPM, which oversees most federal hiring for general jobs, but there are many departments and agencies who hire on their own, and on top of this, there are many types of employment: part-time, temporary, full-time, and many different levels, qualifications, etc. For detailed information, write or go to the local Federal Job Information Centers/offices of Personnel Management/OPMS, opm.gov, usajob.gov, many of which are located in federal buildings in major cities. Because the system is so complicated, my advice is to identify exactly what type of job you're interested in, then write to all three of the following: the OPM Central Office in Washington, the Regional OPM/Federal Job Information Center, any department's or agency's personnel office that you deem relevant. Ask for the general procedure about the particular job you're interested in. Although general employment books are in the number 331 section at the library, federal employment books are in the federal section, number 353.001. Go there to find the most current book. Go to your local bookstore, or better still, go directly to the government offices just mentioned to find out exactly what you need to do for the job you want. Although the OPM is the central office, many agencies have separate hiring procedures, and in some cases, you have to apply separately in every zone of an agency in the country. The major book is the Federal Career Directory, which profiles virtually all the agencies and departments in the federal government. Look for it at career offices and in libraries. Another book is the X118 Handbook, which lists the qualifications for the different jobs. The standard application is the standard form 171/SF171 or the optional application for federal employment /of 612. Expect to include the following: job information as classified by the government, your personal information, education, work experience, other qualifications. The Federal Clerical and Administrative Support Test is the official name for the civil service exam. You can take it at any federal job information center. It covers 64 occupations from the GS2 to GS4 levels. General Schedule. WG stands for wage grade. Many civil service jobs are competitive, meaning you have to take written tests in an interview, then employees are chosen based on merit. There is a probationary period after which you're virtually guaranteed permanent employment. Increasingly, the federal government is hiring temporary employees for a predetermined period of time, but this could be your ticket into a full-time job. The bottom line is that overall, the federal government is downsizing, even if ever so slightly. As people retire, their jobs are phased out. Competition for jobs is extremely keen. Best bets are found among the hard sciences, financial management, health occupations, and some engineering specialties. Over the next decade, federal employment, especially in the Defense Department, may decline. Nevertheless, the number of workers in some occupations will increase, like health, law, contract, procurement, and management, and the IRS. At the OPM office, fill out the application form. Application for Federal Employment Standard form, with resume if applicable. Take the appropriate tests and wait while they process your application through the relevant department. You should do this part and then look through the regular listings of national job openings. The OPM publishes listings of most jobs available with the federal government in all skill levels on an almost bi-weekly basis. You can find these listings at the federal job information centers located in every state and on the website. Contact the Federal Job Information Center located in the nearest metropolitan area to you. This network of centers provides information on summer employment, necessary exams, employment application forms, and other aspects of obtaining federal employment. There is a free directory, Federal Job Information Centers, that will have the latest contact points for you. This publication can be obtained by contacting the OPM. The Federal Personnel Manual covers all aspects of personnel management within the federal government structure and is available on a subscription basis. You will have to become familiar with a whole new employment language. A special occupational classification system exists which determines pay and job grades. There are 4 basic types of positions within the federal government. Career. The career position is the one to which most federal workers ultimately subscribe. This is full-time, entitled to all rights and privileges of government employment. A 3-year probationary period must be completed first before you achieve this category classification. Career conditional. This position is of a probationary nature, lasting 3 years, after which you become eligible for a career classification. During this period of time, employees are measured on their abilities and effort in an attempt to decide if they can be upgraded to career at the end of the 3-year period. since the career employee is generally the last one affected by cutbacks. This probationary period is a critical one for the individual aspiring to full-time permanent status within the system. Term. These are positions filled for a finite period of time. Generally, an agency may be given a project or research study lasting for a set period of time, 1, 2, 3 years, for example, after which a report is due. Since assistance may be needed to complete this project, the grant money awarded is used to hire term employees, hired until the end of the project. Health benefits will likely be available. Pension benefits probably will not. The term employee who performs well may have an inside track to future employment within the career conditional employment level mentioned above. Temporary. These positions are less than 1 year in length and do not carry any special privileges or benefits like health insurance. However, work well done is generally remembered. In addition, you may be privy to hearing about other openings, and if your work has been satisfactory, a supervisor's recommendation can help move you into position for other work. As you can see, these are stepping stone types of positions. This is the way the federal government works. Within this structure is a pre-programmed format within which one moves slowly up the ranks. There is little room for diversity and flexibility within this framework, but there is a certain amount of stability and security the further along you go. There is also the chance for part-time work on either a temporary or term basis, and that information would be listed along with the posting of the position itself. Federal Job 2. For information about civil service tests, get a copy of the Civil Service Handbook, also referred to as the Qualification Standards. Civil service test preparation books are sold at general bookstores. The public library might have them. Government books which describe civil service jobs are Handbook of Occupational Groups and Series of Classes. Position Classification Standards. Handbook of Blue-Collar Occupational Families and Series. Federal Personnel Manual, for general information. Merit Promotion Plan, for managerial positions. They should be available for viewing at either your local library or at federal job information centers. Look through these books to find out what you're interested in and what you qualify for. There are special preferences for some jobs given to veterans, minorities, women, disadvantaged youth and handicapped people. Certain other conditions apply. For instance, you must be an American citizen. No criminal convictions for some jobs. Less than honorable discharge from the military may preclude you from getting a government job in some areas. OPM writes qualification standards for the many occupations it regulates. You must meet these minimum qualifications to be hired. 4. More complete information about occupations. Consult qualification standards for white collar positions under the General Schedule, generally referred to as Handbook X118. It gives the name of the occupation and its series number, which will prove very useful because jobs are often listed in numerical order. Handbook X118 also gives the requirements for entering jobs at different salary levels. The federal government has several pay systems. About 450 white-collar occupations are part of the General Schedule, GS, which consists of 15 numerical grade levels. College graduates with no experience usually qualify for jobs at the GS5 level. Even if you are qualified to start at a higher grade, you may need to begin work at the GS5 or GS7 level because the agency might be recruiting only entry-level workers. Agencies are not required to hire you at a higher level. You can find Handbook X118 in a loose leaf binder at personnel offices of all federal agencies, federal job information centers and most federal depository libraries. Some state job service offices, college placement offices, and public libraries also have copies. To make the government more competitive with private employers, some federal workers are paid special rates. Higher salaries are paid to some workers who are in short supply, such as engineers, scientists and health personnel. White-collar workers in New York City, San Francisco and Los Angeles get an 8% cost of living differential. Some law enforcement and clerical workers also receive special rates. The general federal government job classifications are GS0000 Miscellaneous, GS0100 Social Science, Psychology, Welfare, GS0200 Personnel Management, Industrial Relations, GS0300 Administration, Clerical, Office Services, GS0400 Biological Sciences, GS0500 Accounting, Budget, GS0600 Medical, Dental, Health, GS0700 Veterinary, Medical Sciences, GS0800 Engineering, Architecture, GS0900 Legal, GS1000 Information, Arts, GS1100 Business, Industry, GS1200 Copyright, Patent, Trademark, GS1300 Physical Sciences, GS1400 Library, Archives, GS1500 Mathematics, Statistics, GS1600 Equipment, Facilities, Service, GS1700 Education, GS1800 Investigation, GS1900 Quality Assurance, Inspection, Grading, GS2000 Supply, GS2100 Transportation. Federal Job 3. The federal government has made it easy for people to use the internet to search for a federal job, and you can even apply online. It is still complicated but easier since you can do it all from home. The Office of Personnel Management /OPM, USAJob.gov, OPM.gov, is the major source of employment listings for most federal government positions, but many agencies and departments hire independently. The OPM will help you answer questions on the application process for government jobs in general. Federal workers are classified into two major groups. Those paid according to the general schedule. GS, mostly college-educated, white-collar, administrative, scientific, and technical types. Trade and labor employees paid under the federal wage system, WG, who generally support the efforts of the armed forces. Entry-level positions for most college graduates begin at the GS5 or GS7 level. You can apply for most federal jobs with a resume and/or by filling out the optional application for federal employment of 612. If you apply for a job with a resume, you must cover all the information asked for in the of 612. USAJob.gov contains main body of information on federal jobs, though not all. You can access the resume builder to create a resume suitable for applying for federal jobs. There are thousands of jobs posted. You can identify the exact job that you are applying for using the job search engine. You have to apply for the specific jobs you want. You just don't fill out one application and wait until the central office contacts you. You keep applying for new job postings until you get an interview, then a job. You must apply for specific job titles, so identify the federal job titles that are right for your qualifications. At any given time, chances are that somewhere in its web, the government is hiring for your profession, but you have to find it yourself. It's not sitting there in a neatly tied package. If you're unsure of whether to apply through the OPM or directly with the particular agency, apply to both. Identify the exact position and submit an application that contains both the particular job title and announcement number. Because every particular job application will have different requirements, there is no standard application that will fit for all government jobs. So you have to apply separately for every particular job. If you pass the first level screening process, you will have a formal job interview and possibly some tests on the skills requirements for the position. Before you are hired, you must complete the Declaration of Federal Employment, which is a form that helps them determine your character and suitability for federal employment with personal questions regarding criminal record, credit history, etc. Depending on the nature of the job, there may be additional security checks. If you are male, older than 18, born after December 31, 1959, you will also have to show that you have registered with the Selective Service System (SSS Gov) or have an exemption because of the security of federal government jobs and the general stereotype that government employees don't do much. Competition is keen. It's not necessarily easy to get a federal job unless you're an extreme specialist in something. Entry-level positions are classified according to government pay grades, and usually the entire career path is spelled out right there, what you can expect to do for the next 20 years at work. In general, the minimum entry-level educational requirements are as follows. GS7, 1 full academic year of graduate education. GS9, master's or equivalent degree or 2 full years of graduate education. GS11, doctoral degree, PhD or equivalent or 3 full years of graduate education. The interviews are not Mickey Mouse. Nobody wants to feel that they hired a dud, especially if they have to work with them. Be professional. In general, anybody working for the federal government except for Army and Navy grunts will have a comfortable, easy, cushy job physically, but there could be stress because of all the tight-ass bureaucrats with their egos and demands. If you want job security, regularity, and stability, try for government employment. If you want a more interesting, varied life, don't do it unless you've got interesting activities off the job to keep you going. Some people aren't cut out for this type of bureaucratized routine. I, for one, happen to think that anyone who works for the government is a boring person who didn't have the guts to go it alone. So if I think like this, millions of others do too. If you fancy yourself an independent, dashing bohemian, you will never be happy defining yourself as a civil servant or a federal government employee. It smacks of the aura of bureaucratic clone. Career America is OPM's job program for college graduates. ACWA, or Career America, is OPM's job entry program for college graduates who will, if hired, start at the GS5 or GS7 level. College seniors who expect to graduate within 9 months may also apply for jobs through this program. Many of the occupations require a specific degree or completion of certain courses, but you can qualify for others with any degree. No experience is required for any of these. occupations but related experience can always help you compete. ACWA covers 116 administrative and professional occupations in 7 groups, the first 6 of which require separate exams. Group 1, Health, Safety and Environmental. Group 2, Writing and Public Information. Group 3, Business, Finance and Management. Group 4, Personnel, Administration and Computers. Group 5, Benefits Review, Tax and Legal. Group 6, Law Enforcement and Investigation. Group 7, Professional Occupations. Not requiring an exam. Some of the 100 occupations in the first 6 groups have specific educational requirements, but most do not. All 16 occupations in Group 7 are professional and, by OPM's definition, require certain academic coursework. Each ACWA group has a different application form, but, generally, you must pass a written test or show that you have the education required or both. One exception is made for those who qualify for the Outstanding Scholar Program. It exempts college students from testing who graduated in the upper 10% of their class or earned a cumulative grade point average, GPA, of 3.5 or above on a 4.0 scale. To find out which groups you can apply for, visit or call your nearest OPM office or Federal Job Information Center. Ask for each group's qualifications information statement to learn more about that group's jobs, qualifications and application procedures. Career America Connections. Automated Telephone System. 900-990-9200. 912-471-3755. 912-757-3000. 912-744-2299, TDD. Washington Area Service Center. 202-606-2700. Applications to take the test for most groups can be submitted at any time, but Groups 1 and 2 may be closed in your region. For occupations in Group 7, you may apply only when openings are announced. Hiring is very limited. Information statements for groups requiring exams include a test scheduling card, OPM Form 5000 IB, as well as application details and a list of OPM offices. Complete the test scheduling form and mail it to the OPM office in the area where you want to take your test. You should also request sample test questions. Within a few weeks of mailing your test scheduling card, you should receive materials indicating the time and location of the exam. Also included is a booklet containing sample questions. You may take as many different exams as you like, but you may not retake a test within an occupational group for 1 year. You must bring a photo ID for entrance to the testing room. Each written test has 3 parts. The first part consists of 12 vocabulary and 13 reading questions. The second part has 8 questions on tabular completion and 9 on arithmetic reasoning. The third part is the individual achievement record, which evaluates how well you have used your opportunities in school, work or outside activities. The exam takes about 75 minutes, 30 minutes each for the first and second sections and 15 minutes for the third. All exams in Groups 3 through 6 for the continental United States are processed at the OPM Staffing Service Center in Macon, GA. You will receive a notice of results within a few days of your test date. Your performance on the exam is called a rating. Passing scores range from 70 to 100. Veterans with a passing Grade receive an extra 5 points, disabled. Veterans, an extra 10 points. The names of all candidates with passing scores are ranked in numerical order on a list maintained by OPM. The list is called a register or competitor inventory. From this register, OPM makes referrals to agencies filling job vacancies. Names remain on a register for 1 year, but not everyone on a register gets a job. Currently, only those with ratings in the middle to high 90s are being referred to agencies, and there's still plenty of competition. Along with your test materials, you will have received a background questionnaire, occupational supplement Form B, that you must complete and bring with you to the test. It includes questions on your education and experience, and also has some questions about the kind of position you are looking for. For example, it asks you to indicate up to 9 specific geographic locations in which you are willing to work. These can play an important role in whether you are called for an interview, because referrals are made according to candidate's designation for working in the agency's location. The central processing system allows you to be considered for employment in several geographic zones without having to take the same exam in each zone, but don't confuse this with the requirement that you take a separate written test for each occupational group that requires 1. The government job application process. By contacting your local federal job information center, you can find out what jobs are available in your area and receive information regarding the appropriate qualifications for each position. You will receive an application to complete. How you complete it can give you an advantage when it comes down to being shortlisted for a specific position. Whether your work experience is regular or volunteer, note it all in as much detail as you can. The government loves detail, and the more descriptive your duties, tasks, and accomplishments, the more likely something might flash in the eyes of a personnel officer. Be sure and indicate how your past experiences qualifies you specifically for the job you are seeking. Do not assume the person reading your application will make the obvious connection. Spell it out in detail and make the correlation for the personnel officer. An application for federal employment. Standard Form 171, SF 171, is required for every federal employee's personnel file. For many positions, including ACWA occupations, you do not need to submit an SF 171 to take a test or complete an occupational supplement Form B, but you will still need to submit an SF 171 prior to being hired. For most agencies, the SF 171 is the designated application. The SF 171 is a chance for you to present yourself at your very best. Thousands of applications are received by government offices each year, and only the best attract attention. You should spend several hours to complete the application. It may seem tedious, but the time you invest could mean the difference between an interview and a rejection letter. Blank SF 171 forms are available at federal job information centers, most federal agencies, personnel offices, and many post offices, libraries, and state job service offices. You can also buy automated programs for producing your SF 171 on a computer. Before you make any marks on the form, make several photocopies to use as drafts, then prepare a master copy for each occupation you wish to enter and make photocopies of them. It's acceptable to submit a photocopied SF 171. When applying for jobs, read the form in its entirety, including the instructions before you begin completing it. Most of the blocks are self-explanatory, but some deserve special attention. Item 24, the work experience blocks, can make or break you. This is the section where you are asked to describe your duties, responsibilities, and accomplishments. Duties are the work you perform for your employers, responsibilities involve your independence and judgment, and accomplishments refer to duties performed beyond what is expected of you. If possible, show that you have progressed in each job and from one job to the next, by taking on more demanding duties or more responsibility. Note all work experience including volunteer work related to the position you're applying for. Be specific. You may think everyone knows what a data entry keyer does, but don't stake your future on it. If you do not spell out exactly what you did, you may not get credit for any of it. In describing your work experience, use strong action verbs, such as performed, rather than weak phrases such as was responsible for performing. You also want to use the vocabulary that appears in Handbook X118 if you are relying on your experience to qualify for an occupation. Present yourself in a positive light, but don't overstate your duties. Type your work descriptions on blank pieces of paper, leaving room for the heading block at the top of the page and the space for agency use block at the bottom. Cut both blocks from a photocopy of the SF 171, tape them in the appropriate places on your typed page and photocopy the new page. The photocopy of your cut and paste page, which will not reveal your tape lines, results in a much neater look than trying to fit everything onto the tiny lines provided. Type your name, social security number, the position title and the vacancy announcement number on each sheet. For items 25 through 31, mention all the education you have received. Include seminars, workshops, training programs, and vocational or adult education classes. As mentioned in the Career America discussion, how you specify your major field of study is key in applying for a rating. For some occupations, positions are not limited to a specific major but may require a certain number of course credits, and unless you designate those course credits as your major, your application may be overlooked. When you list references for item 36, use names of people who are not related to you who can attest to your working ability. Ministers, doctors, local political leaders or other character references are of little help in commenting on how you work. Leave items 1, 48, and 49 blank on your master copy. Item 1 asks what job you are applying for. Complete this block each time you apply for a position. Items 48 and 49 are the signature and date certification, and they must be signed in ink on each application. You may wish to leave other items blank on your master copy as well, especially in the section marked Availability. This section asks questions regarding the lowest pay you will accept, the geographic area where you wish to work, and your willingness to travel. You won't be forced to accept a job that pays less than you would like or would require you to move. On the other hand, if you're looking for a job, it's not exactly in your best interest to be too picky. Your master copy will save you time because you won't have to start from scratch for every application you submit, but you may need more than one master copy if you're applying for different kinds of jobs. Even if you apply for the same positions in different agencies, you may find that agencies place emphasis on different skills or abilities. You should get a copy of the vacancy announcement for each job you apply for. You need to make sure each application you submit reflects that you meet the qualifications required. Finally, be sure to proofread your SF 171 carefully before you apply for jobs and don't forget to fill in the items you left blank on your master copy, including signing and dating the application in ink. At least 2 private manufacturers have developed programs that produce acceptable SF 171 applications. These are Federal Research Service, Inc., and the Software Den, developers of Quick and Easy, and SF 171 Automated, respectively. Contact retail stores for more information. Veterans and disabled people will be given preferential treatment through increased rating points. Extra points above and beyond what the individual scores will be given for a Purple Heart, a service-related disability, and honorable discharges. Widows of veterans will also be eligible for extra points. There are some restrictions, but most veterans get some additional assistance in the hiring process. If you feel you have been discriminated against in the hiring process, you have the right to go through a formal appeals process. Send a written letter of complaint to the agency stating the details of the situation within 30 days of the incident. In positions of national security, you will be subject to a special investigation of your personal background. Your fingerprints will be checked and personal references will be contacted, all in the task of identifying the level of your integrity and reliability. You may be asked to review a list of organizations to ascertain if you have any connection with them. Typically, the minimal age requirement is 18. Some positions such as federal law officers have a higher age standard required, but this is more the exception than the rule. Typing positions often require a typing test. Postal service positions may have several tests measuring your ability to recall names and addresses. Pharmaceutical positions will require math tests. Correctional officers will be tested on their ability to handle people. The exact scope of the test will be detailed in your packet. You will have to take whatever test is required. This is not an option. Failure to take the test disqualifies you from job consideration. If you have an interest in the position you're applying for and a relevant background to qualify you for it, you will be able to pass the test. You will be in a room with other people taking the test. If you fail one, take another. Experience will make you better at test taking. Government job listings. Agencies advertise vacancies with brief statements of job information called vacancy announcements or even briefer job listings. Each announcement or listing includes the job title, occupational series number, grade and pay levels, application opening and closing dates, the period during which applications are accepted, number of vacancies, job location, announcement number, person to contact, phone number and agency name. Announcements, which may run a couple of pages, also spell out specific job duties, both general and special requirements and application procedures. They even indicate how important each required skill is. There are many places to find announcements and job listings, although no one place will have every announcement. Online. Regional OPM offices. Federal Job Information Centers. State Job Service or Employment Security offices. Personnel offices of federal agencies. A more comprehensive list of jobs appears in a commercially published magazine, Federal Career Opportunities Listing. It is available at many libraries and at many of the offices that have the announcements themselves. Touchscreen and automated computers. Available at nearly all federal job information centers, also provide vacancy information. You Can search these listings called federal job opportunity listings by such criteria as occupational series, job title, or geographic location. The computerized lists are updated at least monthly. They are available at state employment service offices and many college placement offices, as well as through the computers at the job information centers. Go to the website usajob.com, opm.gov to locate the databases for every region in the country. If you have found only a listing and not the announcement itself, contact the agency advertising the opening, asking that the announcement be sent to you. For many vacancies, applicants are given only 1 or 2 weeks to submit forms. The closing date generally is the day your paperwork must reach the hiring authority, not the date materials must be postmarked by. Because not all jobs are listed in any one place, you should plan to contact the federal agencies on your own. Each agency's personnel office has its needs and hiring procedures. You can start your search with a check of U.S. government listings in the blue pages of the phone book. Call the agencies you think are likely to hire for your occupation. Not every occupation is employed by every federal agency, yet you might be surprised at the range of jobs within an agency. For example, you know the Army Corps of Engineers hires engineers, but it employs many other kinds of workers as well. Don't assume that all educators work for the Department of Education or that every librarian is employed by the Library of Congress. Education majors are employed by the Departments of Defense, Interior, Justice, Agriculture, Transportation, and Treasury, among others. Library science majors work in such offices as the Executive Office of the President, Government Printing Office and Patent and Trademark Office, not to mention the departmental libraries throughout the government. Consider visiting government offices in person to ask about openings. In some federal buildings, you won't be allowed past the guard desk, though there might be a drop-off box for applications. In other offices, especially in smaller cities, you might get a chance to meet with someone. Each personal contact you make increases the probability of your getting hired. Often the only way you find out about a vacancy is if you are in the right place at the right time. You might also learn about openings for positions other than the one you're looking for, including clerical and technical jobs. Don't eliminate these outright just because the starting salaries are below those usually offered to college graduates. You may think you're overqualified for some jobs, but they may be good stepping stones to your desired career. Mobility is often easier from within, where you learn more about the agency and have more access to job vacancy information. Many agencies also offer training programs for employees which can help you gain experience and advance to more responsible positions. Completing your education is important to you, and the government. OPM will encourage you to finish school even as you are working full or part-time or temporarily with the government. There are specific work-school programs that, if you fit this bill, you may be interested in. Your high school counselor, if you are still in high school, can help, and so can the OPM in your area. You must be a citizen of the United States, with a few exceptions that are noted in the publication, Federal Employment of Non-Citizens. Normally, only citizens are allowed to compete for civil service positions, but foreign job situations provide exceptions, so you should look into this further if this applies to you. Drug testing is a likelihood, so be prepared. If a job has certain physical qualifications such as FBI agent or border patrol officer, this will be spelled out in your application packet. Job grading is something you should become familiar with in your search for government employment. A job grade dictates superiority and compensation level. OPM sets the compensation levels. These are based on a number of parameters such as past job experience, technical knowledge, your education, job performance accountability and any specialized assignment out of the ordinary, requiring specific qualifications. The OPM or federal job centers can give you the various ratings and the applicable compensation ranges within the classification. Whether you go to the bottom or the top of the classification will depend on the above measurements. Advancement is not uncommon in the federal job market. As you become more proficient, you will likely be promoted up the ranks. A general schedule of compensation grades applies to the white-collar worker and ranges from grades GS1 to GS18. College-educated white-collar positions will qualify as a GS5 to start, while secretarial positions begin in the GS1 to GS3 range. The blue-collar worker will be categorized on a wage grade basis. Here, the compensation received varies with the locality of the work. You can advance, salary-wise, from within a specific GS rating, based on the lower to upper ranges of compensation within that grade. To go further, once you've reached the upper limit of pay within a grade, would require reclassification. The more proficient your work record, the greater likelihood of grade advancement. You might even be able to obtain some training for higher level grades while working in your current position. Done after hours, this can put you in line for that promotion to place you in a higher grade rating and, thus, in a higher pay range. The usual number of hours worked in a week is 40, Monday through Friday. Some jobs, like a physician on call, is an exception to this rule. If the agency authorizes overtime, you may be eligible to work it. You can receive either pay or comparable time off as compensation. Bonuses may also be possible depending on the way the agency is funded. Transfers are also acceptable ways to move around within the system. Your own agency's personnel office can assist you with the necessary paperwork. You must first apply for a position in the other department and be accepted, but at least you know this is a possibility and is not discouraged among agencies. You will be eligible for sick leave, 13 days annually, and vacation, beginning at 13 days, and increasing based on years of service. Health insurance is available through the Federal Employees Health Insurance Program, with a wide array of benefit plans to choose from. There is also a federal government retirement program that is one of the best around. Not all occupations require that you get on an OPM register. In fact, for some occupations, such as those in public safety, you apply directly to the hiring agencies. OPM also grants special authority to some agencies that allows them to hire applicants without prior referral from a register. These special authorities are called delegated case examining, shared case examining and direct hire authority. There are also accepted positions and agencies that OPM has nothing to do with. Delegated case examining permits agencies to advertise, evaluate, and hire applicants independently of OPM. In shared case examining, an agency recruits and screens applications before sending them to OPM for final evaluation. OPM then sends a list of the best qualified candidates back to the agency and the agency makes its selection. Direct hire authority is similar to delegated case examining but applies only to occupations for which shortages exist. Public safety occupations, which include air traffic controller, deputy U.S. Marshal, Treasury enforcement agent and U.S. Park Police officer, are filled by delegated examining. You must apply directly to an agency to take a written test. For one of these occupations, delegated examining allows the agencies to develop and give their own tests, as well as evaluate applicants and set hiring standards. Treasury enforcement agents, for example, cannot be older than 37 at the time they are hired. The screening process also includes a series of interviews, a polygraph test, background investigation and drug testing. Delegated or shared case examining is used to fill most ACWA Group 7 occupations. For public safety and Group 7 occupations, there is no national register. Evaluation methods vary by region and agency. Some agencies accept applications continually and maintain registers to fill openings as they occur, but most accept applications only when they have vacancies for these positions. OPM grants direct hire authority to agencies for hiring in occupations for which shortages exist. This authority varies by location, occupation, and agency. To find out which agencies have the authority for which jobs, contact your nearest OPM office or Federal Job Information Center. Ask for a list of agencies that have direct hire authority for your field. You can then contact the personnel offices of the agencies on the list to find out about their application procedures. When you call, ask to speak to someone who handles entry-level hiring in your field. If no phone numbers are given on the list of agencies, check the U.S. government listings in your phone book's blue pages. Exceptions to the merit system have been established over the years by law, executive order and regulation. OPM is not involved in any way with the hiring of people for these occupations and agencies. The accepted positions include the following: doctors, dentists, and nurses in the Department of Medicine and Surgery of the Department of Veterans Affairs, scientists and engineers in the National Science Foundation, attorneys, chaplains, teachers, many workers overseas, drug enforcement agents doing undercover work, part-time workers in isolated areas, many seasonal workers, federal government employees, health insurance. opm.gov/insure, health benefits. opm.gov/insure/life, life insurance. Federal government employee websites. federaldaily.com, Federal Employees News, Books, Benefits, Pay. Chapter 2. Federal Government Job Resources. Office of Personnel Management Offices. The headquarters for government jobs is the OPM National Office. Contact them for general inquiries about any employment-related questions and for the bulk of government job listings. Since the addresses of local federal job information centers seem to change regularly, you could contact the OPM for the most current list of federal information centers. Get the free booklet about civil service exams, called Federal Examination Announcements. There are also a variety of booklets that explain various subjects having to do with federal employment. Single copies of these are free. The pamphlets include Incentive Awards Program, Political Activity of Federal Employees, the Federal Retirement System, Financial Protection for Federal Employees, the Federal Merit Promotion Policy, the Federal Wage System, Maternity Leave, Employee Appeals from Actions, the Displaced Employee Program, Federal labor relations. Pay under the general schedule. Cost of living allowance for federal employees. Intergovernmental mobility programs. How your GS job is classified. Merit system principles and prohibited personnel practices. Federal Employees Health Benefit Program. FEB. Office of Personnel Management/OPM. 1900 E St. N.W. Number 1416. Washington, D.C. 20415. 912-757-3000. 202-653-8468. 202-606-2440. usajob.gov. opm.gov. Office of Affirmative Employment. Office of Personnel Management. 1900 E Street NW number 6355. Washington, D.C. 20415. 202-606-1059. usajob.gov. opm.gov. Special Office for Minorities and Handicapped People. Office of the Appeals Council. Merit System Protection Board. 1120 Vermont Avenue Northwest number 864. Washington, D.C. 20419. 202-653-8888. usajob.gov. Board which reviews all appeals made by applicants for employment and current federal employees. Copies of information regarding board regulations can be obtained from this office. Offices for appeals are located in Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, New York, Philadelphia, St. Louis, San Francisco, Seattle and Washington. To obtain more information about the appeals office in your area, call 202-653-8900. Regional OPM Offices. Richard B. Russell Federal Building. 75 Spring Street Southwest. Atlanta, Georgia 30303-3019. 404-331-3459. Atlanta Region serves Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee and Virginia. John C. Kluczynski Federal Building. 230 South Dearborn Street. Chicago, Illinois 60604. 312-353-2901. Chicago Region serves Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. 1100 Commerce Street. Dallas, Texas 75242. 214-767-8235. Dallas Region serves Arkansas, Arizona, Colorado, Louisiana, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming. William J. Green Federal Building. 600 Arch Street. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19106-1596. 215-597-4431. Philadelphia Region serves Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Rhode Island, Vermont and Virgin Islands. 11 Main Street. San Francisco, California 94105. 415-974-9662. San Francisco Region serves Alaska, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, Pacific Ocean Area and Washington. Federal Job Information Centers by State. fedworld.gov/jobs. fic.info.gov, 800-688-9889, Federal Information Center, Alabama. Building 600, number 341. 3322 Memorial Parkway South. Huntsville, Alabama 35801. 205-544-5802. Alaska. Federal Building 701 CST, Box 22. Anchorage, Alaska 99513. 907-271-5821. Arizona. U.S. Postal Service Building. Number 120. 522 North Central Avenue. Phoenix, Arizona 85004. 602-261-4736. Arkansas. Office of Personnel Management. 700 West Capitol Avenue. Room 3421. Little Rock, Arkansas 72201. 501-378-5842. California. Linder Building. 3rd FL. 845 S Figueroa. La California 90017. 213-894-3360. 1029 JST. 2nd FL. Sacramento, California 95814. 916-551-1464. Federal Building. Number 4S9. 880 Front ST. SD, California 92188. 619-557-6165. POB 7405. 211 Main ST. SF, California 94120. 415-974-9725. Colorado. 12345 West Alameda Parkway. POG 25167. Denver, Colorado 80225. 303-969-6931. Connecticut. 613 Federal Building. 450 Main ST. Hartford, Connecticut 06103. 203-240-3263. Delaware. Philadelphia Listing. DC, City of Washington. 1900 E St. N.W. Number 1416. Washington, D.C. 20415. 202-653-8468. Florida. 150 Commodore Building. 3444 McCrory Place. Orlando, Florida 32803. 407-648-6148. Georgia. 960 Federal Building. 75 Spring St. Southwest. Atlanta, Georgia 30303. 404-331-4315. Hawaii. 5316 Federal Building. 300 Ala Moana Boulevard. Honolulu, Hawaii 96850. 808-541-2791. Idaho. Washington Listing. Illinois. 175 West Jackson Boulevard. Number 530. Chicago, Illinois 60604. 312-353-6192. Federal Building. 230 South Dearborn St. Chicago, Illinois 60604. 312-353-6234. Indiana. Federal Building. 575 North Pennsylvania St. Indianapolis, Indiana 46204. 317-269-7161. Iowa. Office of Personnel Management. 210 Walnut St. Room 191. Des Moines, Iowa 50309. 515-284-4545. Kansas. 1-20 Building. Number 101. 120 South Market St. Wichita, Kansas 67202. 316-269-6794. 816-426-5702. Kentucky. US Office of Job Information. 100 North Main Street. Memphis, Tennessee 38103. Louisiana. 1515 Poitras St. Number 608. New Orleans, Louisiana 70112. 504-589-2764. Maine. 2 Center Plaza. Boston, Massachusetts 02133. 617-223-2571. Maryland. Garments Federal Building. 101 West Lombard St. Baltimore, Maryland 21201. 301-962-3822. Massachusetts. Federal Building. 10 Causeway St. Boston, Massachusetts 02222. 617-565-5900. Michigan. 477 Michigan Avenue. Number 565. Detroit, Michigan 48226. 313-226-6950. Minnesota. Federal Building. FT. Snelling. Twin Cities, Minnesota 55111. 612-725-3430. Mississippi. Alabama listing. Missouri. 134 Federal Building. 601 East 12th St. Kansas City, Missouri 64106. 816-426-5702. 400 Old Post Office Building. 815 Olive St. St. Louis, Missouri 63101. 314-539-2285. Montana. Colorado listing. Nebraska. Office of Personnel Management. 215 North 17th St. Room 1010. Omaha, Nebraska 68102. Nevada. Sacramento listing. New Hampshire. 104 Federal Building. 80 Daniel St. Portsmouth, New Hampshire 03801. 603-431-7115. New Jersey. Federal Building. 970 Broad St. Newark, New Jersey 07102. 201-645-3679. 215-597-7440, Camden. New Mexico. Federal Building. 421 Gold Avenue. SW. Albuquerque, New Mexico 87102. 505-766-5583. 505-766-1893. New York. Federal Building. 26 Federal Plaza. NYC 10278. 212-264-0422. Federal Building. 100 South Clinton St. Syracuse, New York 13260. 315-423-5660. North Carolina. 4565 Fall News Road. Number 4445. Raleigh, North Carolina 27609. 919-856-4361. North Dakota. Minnesota listing. Ohio. 506 Federal Building. 200 W 2nd T. Dayton, Ohio 45402. 513-225-2720. Oklahoma. 200 Northwest 5th St. 2nd FL. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73102. 405-231-4948. Oregon. 376 Federal Building. 1220 Southwest 3rd Avenue, Portland, Oregon 97204. 503-221-3141. Pennsylvania. 168 Federal Building, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania 17108. 717-782-4494. Federal Building, 600 Arch St. Number 1416. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19106. 215-597-7440. Federal Building, 1000 Liberty Avenue, number 119. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15222. 412-644-2755. Rhode Island, 310 Federal Building, Kennedy Plaza, Providence, Rhode Island 02903. 401-528-5251. South Carolina. North Carolina listing. South Dakota. Minnesota listing. Tennessee. 200 Jefferson Avenue, number 1312. Memphis, Tennessee 38103. 901-521-3956. Texas. 1100 Commerce St. Dallas, Texas 75242. 214-767-8035. 713-226-2375, Houston. 643 E. Durango. San Antonio, Texas 78206. 512-229-6611. Utah. Colorado listing. Vermont. New Hampshire listing. Virginia. 220 Federal Building, Granby St. Norfolk, Virginia 23510. 804-441-3355. Washington. Federal Building, 915 2nd Avenue, Seattle, Washington 98174. 206-442-4365. West Virginia. Ohio listing. Wisconsin. Minnesota listing or 312-353-6189. Wyoming. Colorado listing. Guam. 902 Pacific Daily News Building, Agana, Guam 96910. 671-472-7451. Puerto Rico. Federal Building, Carlos E. Chardon St. Hato Rey, Puerto Rico 15222. 787-766-5242. Federal Job Information Computer Terminals, Alabama. Huntsville. 520 Wind Drive Northwest, Alaska. Anchorage. Federal Building, 222 West 7th Avenue, number 156. Arizona. Phoenix. VA Medical Theater, 650 East Indian School Road, Building 21, number 141. Arkansas. Little Rock. Federal Building, 700 W Capitol, first floor lobby, California. Sacramento. 801 IST, Colorado. Denver. Department of Social Services, Employment Center, 2200 West Alameda Avenue, number 5B, Connecticut. Hartford. Federal Building, 450 Main St. Lobby, District of Columbia. Washington, D.C. Theodore Roosevelt. Federal Building, 1900 hours o'clock EST. NW. Number 1416. Florida. Miami. Downtown Jobs and Benefits Center, Florida Job Service Center, 401 Northwest 2nd Avenue, number N214. Orlando. Florida Job Service Center. 1001 Executive Center Drive. First floor. Georgia. Atlanta. Richard B. Russell. Federal Building. 75 Spring STSW. Main Lobby, Plaza Level. Hawaii. Honolulu. Federal Building. 300 Ala Moana Boulevard. Number 5316. Fort Shafter. Department of Army. Army Civilian. Personnel Office. Army Garrison. Building T 1500. Illinois. Chicago. 77 West Jackson Boulevard. First floor lobby. Indiana. Indianapolis. Minton Cape Heart. Federal Building. 575 North Pennsylvania St. Number 339. Louisiana. New Orleans. Federal Building. 423 Canal St. First floor lobby. Maine. Augusta. Federal Office Building. 40 Western Avenue. Maryland. Baltimore. George H. Fallon Building. Lombard Street and Hopkins Plaza. Lobby. Massachusetts. Boston. Thomas P. O'Neill, Jr. Federal Building. 10 Causeway St. First floor. Michigan. Detroit. 477 Michigan Avenue. Number 565. Minnesota. Twin Cities. Bishop Henry Whipple. Federal Building. 1 Federal Drive. Number 501. Ft. Snelling. Missouri. Kansas City. Federal Building. 601 East 12th St. Number 134. New Hampshire. Portsmouth. Thomas McIntyre. Federal Building. 80 Daniel, St. First floor lobby. New Jersey. Newark. Peter J. Rodino Federal Building. 970 Broad St. Second floor. Close to cafeteria. New Mexico. Albuquerque. New Mexico State Job Service. 501 Mountain Road Northeast. Lobby. New York. Albany. Leo W. O'Brien. Federal Building. Clinton Avenue and North Pearl. Basement level. Buffalo. Thaddeus T. Dulski. Federal Building. 111 West Huron St. 9th floor. New York City. Jacob K. Javits. Federal Building. 26 Federal Plaza. Lobby. Syracuse. James M. Hanley. Federal Building. 100 South Clinton St. Ohio. Dayton. Federal Building. 200 West 2nd St. Number 509. Oklahoma. Oklahoma City. Career Connection Center. 7401 Northeast 23rd St. Oregon. Portland. Federal Building. 1220 Southwest 3rd Avenue. Number 376. Bonneville Power. Administration. 905 Northeast 11th Avenue. Department of Army and Corps of Engineers. Duncan Plaza. Pennsylvania. Harrisburg. Federal Building. 228 Walnut St. Number 168. Philadelphia. William J. Green, Jr. Federal Building. 600 Arch St. Second floor. Pittsburgh. Federal Building. 1000 Liberty Avenue. First floor lobby. Reading. Reading Postal Service. 2100 North 13th St. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. San Juan. U.S. Federal Building. 150 Carlos Chardin Avenue. Number 328. Rhode Island. Providence. 380 Westminster. Mall Lobby. Tennessee. Memphis. Naval Air Station. Memphis. Transition Assistance Center. 7800 3rd Avenue. Building South 239. Millington. Texas. Dallas. Federal Building. 1100 Commerce St. First floor lobby. El Paso. Federal Building. 700 East San Antonio St. Lobby. Houston. Mickey Leland Federal Building. 1919 Smith St. First floor lobby. San Antonio. Federal Building. 727 E Durango. First floor lobby. Utah. Salt Lake City. Utah State Job Service. 720 South 2nd East. Reception Area. Vermont. Burlington. Federal Building. 11 Elmwood Avenue. First floor lobby. Virginia. Norfolk. Federal Building. 200 Granby St. Washington. Seattle. Federal Building. 915 2nd Avenue. Number 110.